I look at this bottle before me, slender, dark, inviting, and I cannot help but see more than a drink. It is a symbol, almost erotic in its allure. The curve of the glass, the hiss when it opens, the fizz that rises like a sigh, all of it speaks the language of desire. This, I realize, is not a beverage. It is an invitation to pleasure, carefully bottled, sweetly disguised. The genius of Coca-Cola lies not in its taste, but in its promise. It whispers to the unconscious, "Drink me, and you will feel alive again." In that single act of consumption, one experiences the illusion of satisfaction, the brief reconciliation between the hunger of the id and the discipline of the superego. Yet, like all pleasures born from fantasy, it fades before it fulfills, and so we drink again and again and again. Observe how the brand sells not a product, but a feeling. Happiness is the great illusion of our age, that joy can be purchased, carbonated, and consumed in moments. We do not drink to quench thirst. We drink to escape the quiet emptiness within. In each sip, the unconscious tastes the sweetness of repression, sugar coating the bitterness of unmet longing. Even the color speaks, that vivid red, the color of passion, of blood, of appetite. The white, purity, innocence, denial. Together, they form the eternal struggle within the psyche, the forbidden mixed with the sacred, the id draped in the robes of the superego. Coca-Cola becomes a ritual, a modern sacrament of desire. So, as I hold this bottle, I'm not studying a drink, but a dream sold by the billions, that happiness can be poured, shared, and repeated. It is not the taste we crave, but the memory it promises. The memory of simpler joys, of youth, of belonging, all of which, like the fizz itself, disappear the moment we open the bottle. I begin to wonder, why do we return to it? The flavor is predictable, the sweetness familiar, yet the craving remains. This is not about thirst, it is about the mind's secret addiction to repetition. In the repetition of pleasure, the psyche seeks mastery over absence, the same absence it cannot name. Coca-Cola then becomes a ritual to soothe a hunger that has nothing to do with the body. Each advertisement tells us, "Open happiness." A promise so simple and yet so powerful. It bypasses reason and speaks directly to the unconscious. It invites the child within us, the part that still believes the world can be healed by sweetness. We obey gladly, not because we are thirsty, but because we long to believe again. Belief, after all, is the most intoxicating flavor of all. But what is this happiness that the drink sells us? Is it contentment or merely the suspension of thought? Modern man, surrounded by abundance, still feels an emptiness that no object can fill. So he reaches for what is near, what sparkles, what smiles at him from the shelf. The bottle becomes a small salvation, a reminder that satisfaction, though brief, is still possible. Perhaps Coca-Cola endures because it has learned the language of the unconscious better than any philosopher. It does not argue, it seduces. It does not reason, it repeats. And in that repetition we find comfort, the comfort of what we already know, the safety of what asks nothing from us but surrender. We drink, not to discover, but to forget. So I ask, not as a scientist, but as a man, what is this eternal thirst that no liquid quenches? What are we truly trying to swallow, the drink or the silence within us? Maybe Coca-Cola is not the cause of our longing, but its mirror, showing us that even in a world overflowing with sweetness, the soul still aches for something real. We do not drink to live, we drink to remember what living once felt like. The modern world, I have often said, is not guided by reason, but by desire. Coca-Cola, in its simplicity, became the purest expression of that truth. It is not the liquid that matters, but the fantasy it awakens. Desire does not seek fulfillment, it seeks repetition. The more we drink, the more the psyche whispers, again, again. For pleasure, by its very nature, cannot rest. Here the id reigns, the primitive drive that wants, hungers, takes. It does not think of consequences or health. It only seeks the spark of satisfaction. But the superego, that moral voice of society, forbids excess. It condemns gluttony, addiction, indulgence. Thus enters the ego, the poor mediator, forever negotiating between the sweet whisper of desire and the stern finger of restraint. Coca-Cola becomes the perfect truce, sin disguised as innocence, pleasure wrapped in politeness. Observe the act of opening the bottle, the hiss, the fizz, the release. It is a ritual of liberation, a symbolic exhalation of the repressed. The sound itself seems to say, "You may let go now." The first sip, cold, sparkling, sweet, mimics the primal satisfaction of instinct gratified, yet almost immediately it fades, and we are left chasing its ghost. It is, in truth, the entire drama of the unconscious condensed into a single act. The color red dominates, the same red of lips, of blood, of forbidden pleasure. It awakens what civilization has worked so hard to tame, passion. But the brand, clever as it is, cloaks that passion in purity and joy. Red meets white, desire meets denial. And in that union, the psyche finds its equilibrium. Sin, sanctified by marketing. Coca-Cola does not sell taste. It sells the permission to enjoy without guilt. It is the fantasy of a clean pleasure, pleasure without consequence, desire without shame. It promises the impossible reconciliation between instinct and morality. And yet, this is the greatest illusion of all, for no pleasure is ever innocent. Behind every sip, there is a story of what we suppress to keep smiling. The genius of this drink lies in its sublimation, the transformation of raw instinct into social ritual. We cannot drink blood, but we can drink its symbol, sugar-colored and carbonated. We cannot scream, but we can open a bottle and listen to it sigh for us. Each advertisement becomes a confession. Humanity still longs for ecstasy, but it prefers to call it refreshment. In truth, the Coca-Cola is the dream of the ego made liquid, a fantasy of control. We hold it, we choose it, we sip it, and for a fleeting moment we feel in charge of our pleasure. But like all symbols of modernity, it ends up possessing the one who consumes it. We think we drink the drink. In reality, the drink drinks us, slowly, gently, sweetly. So as I set the bottle down, I see it for what it is, the mirror of a civilization that prefers illusion to introspection, a civilization that fears silence and thus fills its emptiness with bubbles. The taste is not of sugar, but of memory, of the time when pleasure was pure and unexamined. Coca-Cola, then, is not a beverage. It is nostalgia in liquid form, the unconscious remembering what it means to feel alive. Perhaps it is not thirst that drives us, but the fear of feeling dry inside. Sometimes I wonder if the true secret of Coca-Cola lies not in its flavor, but in its promise. A promise of youth, of pleasure, of energy, a little liquid spell that makes us believe for a few seconds that life can be sweet and controllable. The modern human drinks not just to quench thirst, but to reconcile with their own dissatisfaction. Each sip is an attempt to domesticate the void, to silence the noise of the subconscious whispering, "Nothing will fully satisfy you." The rising effervescence is like the instant of pleasure, intense, fleeting, impossible to hold on to. The fizz escapes, the flavor fades, and the desire begins anew. Such is the cycle of consumption, and such is the cycle of the human being itself. Coca-Cola is the perfect metaphor for modern love, sweet, exciting, but inevitably ephemeral. It invites us to drink again and again, hoping to find in the next sip what will never truly be there: completeness. Perhaps then, the deepest secret is not in the formula guarded in vaults, but in what it awakens within us. The eternal quest for pleasure, the incapacity to be satiated, and the sweet solace of believing that we can, at least for an instant, bottle happiness. If you've enjoyed this analysis, I must warn you, it might reveal something about your subconscious. Perhaps you are secretly fascinated by desire, or maybe, just maybe, you simply like watching an old man overthink things. Either way, I encourage you to like this video. It's a healthy act of sublimation. And subscribe to the channel so you don't repress your curiosity next time I explain something else you thought you understood. Remember, even the subscribe button is a form of impulse satisfaction. Besides, it would make my ego very, very happy.